Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Joanne Davey. We warmly welcome the family of Sergeant Edwin Henry Nipperess, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant Edwin Henry Nipperess. Edwin Nipperess was born in 1889 to William and Catherine Nipperess of Boggabury, New South Wales. Known as Teddy to his family, Edwin was educated at the local public school and went on to work as a labourer. Edwin Nipperess enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in August 1915, a year after the war began. He underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements to the 18th Battalion. After several weeks on board the troop ship Themistocles, Nipperess arrived in Egypt and began training in the desert with his battalion. In March 1916, the 18th Battalion was sent to France to fight on the Western Front. Its first major operation was at the French village of Pozières, captured by the Australian 1st Division. Suffering heavy casualties during its 2 spells in the front line, the 18th Battalion was withdrawn to a quieter sector in Belgium for several weeks, returning to the Somme in October. During the 1916 operations, Private Nipperess had proven an able soldier, and towards the end of the year, he received a promotion to Lance Corporal. Early the following year, he was again promoted, and by mid-1917, he held the rank of Sergeant. In February 1917, the Germans on the Somme began withdrawing to a fortified series of trenches known as the Hindenburg Line. The 18th Battalion was involved in the following up their withdrawal, patrolling the front line to try to work out what the enemy was doing. On the night of the 26th of February, Corporal Nipperess performed an act of startling bravery. He was taking part in a bombing attack against German forces near Woollancourt. Out in no man's land in the dark, his party found themselves to be largely outnumbered and were forced to withdraw under a shower of bombs and machine gun fire at close range. To get back to their trenches, the bombing party was forced to crawl under some 3 metres of wire entanglements. Corporal Nipperess guarded the withdrawal, bombing a party of 35 or 40 Germans to keep them at bay until his party had made it under the wire. At that point, he noticed 3 badly wounded Australians near the German parapet. Fearing the wounded would be killed by the enemy, Nipperess dragged them into shell holes to provide them with protection, and then carried them, one at a time, through the wire under constant machine gun fire. Corporal Nipperess was recommended for a Victoria Cross for his actions on that night. For a number of reasons, the award he received was a military medal. In September 1917, his parents received formal notification of the award, with a letter from Base Records saying, "His Majesty the King has been graciously pleased to award the military medal for bravery in the field to Lance Sergeant Edwin Henry Nipperess." In their pride, the Nipperess family published the details in a local newspaper. On the 20th of September 1917, around the same time his parents were receiving notification of his military medal, Sergeant Edwin Nipperess took part in the Battle of Menin Road. The operation was largely successful, with the 18th Battalion capturing its objectives. However, even success on the Western Front resulted in casualties. Among those killed during the operation was Edwin Nipperess. His family received notification of his death just days after hearing of his military medal. Sergeant Edwin Nipperess's body was lost in the confusion of the battlefield, and today he has no known grave. Today he is commemorated alongside more than 54,000 men with no known grave on the Menin Gate in Ypres, Belgium. He was 28 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant Edwin Henry Nipperess, who gave his life for us, fought our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrubber Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit, despite the challenges posed by COVID, and wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.